Cozy fire. Remy worked diligently, not bothering to keep her wings folded behind her as she laid out the sleeping mats and put the bedrolls atop them. The others were all relaxing now after their intense day, but Remy hadn't complained. She would show them how useful she could be. Without the shelter of a tent, Remy laid tripwires across each entrance. She didn't think the Institute would plan an attack in the middle of the night, but she wasn't going to rule it out. Rook's voice rumbled from the fire circle. "That's right. Not too much," he sat on a large rock, watching Nightingale. She puffed on a ball of smoldering kindling, and soon the fistful of plant fiber started to smoke. "Get it into the rest of the wood, quick!" She did, and soon the little fire roared to life. "That wasn't that hard." Nightingale wiped her hands against her shirt. "Is roughing it always this easy?" "Easy? It took you 20 minutes to light the fire," Zeke said. Since returning from the scouting excursion, he'd watched as Nightingale and Rook struggled to get the fire lit. Nightingale only shrugged and grinned at him. Another 20 minutes later, and they were all gathered around the fire, resting on a ring of rubble they'd made and sharing bowls of camp stew. Remy felt much better with hot food in her stomach and a merry fire crackling nearby. Nightingale smiled appreciatively. "This is great stuff, Remy. I never thought camp food could taste this good." Remy looked away, though she couldn't keep the pride from her face. "I used to cook for my little brothers and sisters all the time. Half the time we had less in the cupboards than the academy gave us to work with here." Nightingale looked up, understanding in her eyes. "My family back on Earth didn't have a lot either." "And now we're in Middara." Zeke's voice was more subdued as he sipped the broth from his bowl. "What we had on Earth isn't what we have here. Another few days and we'll be citizens. We'll be able to leave the academy whenever we want, buy anything we want, choose where to work." "Maybe your mom will," Nightingale muttered. "But Balthazar and Kezia? It feels like I'm just a tool to my parents here. Being royalty just makes me and you nothing more than pawns." "You're a princess, though," Remy said, meeting her gaze. "Isn't that exciting?" Nightingale scoffed. "If you like being cooped up for the rest of your life, being whisked away to a fantasy world should be about this." She gestured at the dark cave around her. "Adventure, danger, monsters, and traps. Now that's exciting." Remy frowned and took another sip from her bowl. Nightingale patted Remy on the back. "Don't sweat it, Rimdog. I thought being a princess would be much cooler, too." "Rimdog?" Remy grimaced at the moniker. She hoped that it wasn't something Nightingale was going to keep calling her. Zeke shifted on his log. "I don't know. It's better than being poor." His eyes flickered towards Rook. "No offense." Rook waved his hand dismissively and kept eating his stew. "But my mom, or should I say Lady Ida Zhang," he spoke her title mockingly, "get past all her bullshit formality and politics, and I think somewhere in there is a heart. I bet your parents are the same, Knight." "I doubt that. I'll be lucky if this isn't the last time I'm in any kind of danger," Nightingale said. "It's not like it's unique to royalty," Rook replied thoughtfully. "My parents here on Middara are just farmers. They're great, but I don't think farming is for me. I'd rather do something a bit more exciting, too." Nightingale made a grunt in agreement, and there was a long pause. Remy looked up and found all three of them looking at her, and she shuffled uncomfortably under the weight of their stares. "What about you, Remy?" Nightingale finally asked. "I've heard Zeke complain about his mom 1,000 times, but I've never really talked to you." Remy hesitated but took a breath. "Well, all I have here is my father, and he's..." She looked away. "I'm not really sure what kind of person he is." Nightingale raised an eyebrow, but Remy didn't continue. She didn't want them to think less of her. Rook saved her from having to elaborate. "We should rest." He set the pot down beside the fire, completely empty. "We'll need our strength for tomorrow." Remy slept uneasily in the dark cave, tossing and turning on the uneven stone. The school hadn't given them tents, and the sleeping bags they'd been given were threadbare and offered little insulation. From the occasional shifting or grunt she heard in the dark, Remy was fairly sure her new friends were all equally uncomfortable. The next morning, Rook woke her with a gentle nudge and the smell of hot oatmeal. A quick breakfast and a little time to clean up their camp, and they started moving again. "I've got a great feeling about today," Nightingale called from the front of the group. She sounded far more awake than Remy felt. "So maybe we didn't finish early. That doesn't mean we can't totally own it." "I'm sure we will." Zeke walked along beside Nightingale. This left Remy at the rear with Rook, though the corridor was only just wide enough for them to walk abreast. At least the way was mostly straight. She supposed far fewer students would make it through the mast if they were constantly getting lost. They didn't have far to go before the path widened, running along the edge of a dank pond. Remy reached out with one boot, touching the side. Water splashed and ripples echoed across the dark surface. They weren't alone.